Good morning. Today I am going to work on my bullet journal illustrations, and I'm going to be illustrating the first week. It's the first full week of November, like weekly spread, and I haven't had any tea yet, so... I want my illustrations on that week to be sort of a transition from the Witchtober, like witchy Halloween vibes, kind of transitioning into more fall vibes. And then I think my second week of November will be kind of weaning out the witchness and bringing in the harvest vegetables kind of thing, and then just doing a transition basically through my illustrations from like Halloween to Thanksgiving, and then the last week of November kind of transitioning from like fall into winter, going towards the winter solstice and Yule. So yeah, Maven to Yule, Halloween to Thanksgiving to Christmas, and kind of just the different seasonal vibes in between. I've chosen some fall colors that I used in the Thanksgiving week spread, and I'm also going to be using some like purples and grays. This one's really cool. It's called Écrivain. Oh wait, that just means writer. Okay, never mind. What is it called? Zig. It's my Ziggy Stardust right here. So we're going to draw with Ziggy, stars and moons and other witchy things. Not Halloweeny, but still like cozy and autumny potions with fall colors. So we'll see. We'll see what inspires me and how it goes. Also, if you're wondering why I'm the only YouTuber who doesn't like do their hair properly or put on makeup before filming themselves, it's because I always forget. Because I don't do those things normally in my life. And then I turn on the camera and I'm like, oh shit. So human, not AI. It's a very weird time where everything is becoming digital and automated. I don't mind if the modern world leaves me in the dust. I like it here. So for the fine tip pens, I really like this company, Stadler, I don't know how you say this. Sounds maybe German. Anyways, I don't know very much about it other than I like it. I really love these pens. They seem to do well with mixing with other inks. They are a little bit bleedy. They don't bleed, that's why I like them. They don't bleed, but when you color over them or around them with brush pens, they will create a bleed. So I tend to clean my brush pens. You might have seen me do that on another page in my bullet journal. For brush pens, at least for the bullet journal, I really like this company. I think it's like the most standard. They're almost like a highlighter in a way too. Tombow, something like that. ABT. And I really like these pens because they are just really nice to use. And even though they have like a thin brush tip, you can actually, if you hold it at an angle, you can actually get like a nice straight line, kind of like a Copic marker. And they don't bleed like Copic markers do. Copic markers bleed so much, and so do most brush pens, but these are like meant for highlighting stuff on paper, and art, obviously. I also like this company because they have like a bunch of different colors and like lots of different pastel shades, which I love pastels. This is not sponsored, by the way. This is just what I'm using. I love these two. It's called Le Pen is the company. Kind of a funny name because, and like the font, I feel like they're trying to be French and like look all Art Nouveau, but if it was actually French, it'd be like Le Stylo, not Le Pen. But this is a really great company and they're super cute. And I also really like how the entire pen is like the color of the ink as opposed to like these. I'm always like fuddling in my bag to find like the end that's colored so I can tell what the color of the pen is. Same with these guys, like these. It's just really easy to find these colors in my bag immediately, so I like that. Dear pen companies, do that more. Please have your whole pen case be the color of the pen. I also use jelly roll pens, classic 5th grader style. There's some kind of cool autumny colors. They're sparkly, they add a little bit of a sheen. Something I should warn you about, the plastic tip of the pen is like almost never the same color as the ink that comes out. Like this one looks like it would be like a really rich dark brown, but it actually just looks like a kind of pale bronze. And same with this one. This one comes out kind of like a pale, it looks like it'd be a rich orangey autumny color, but it's kind of like a pale copper. So make sure you test these out on paper before you buy them so you know what you're getting into. And then lastly, I don't have many of these, but I really like them. The reason I don't have many is just because I already bought most of the colors I needed in other pen varieties, but I just discovered these. Stabilo. I don't know who Elo is, but he looks like he's about to get stabbed. These are really nice because they have a really fine tip and they draw really cleanly, really thin lines. And the colors are very rich, and the colors are also very true to what the cap color is, which I like. So I have a lot more art pens to show you at a later date. These are just the ones I've been using for my bullet journals, but for children's book illustration, I actually use like a whole other set of materials. I think the only thing that's the same between my bullet journal and this is, oh, the one pen I didn't even tell you about yet, which is Micron. Micron is like my favorite illustration pen. I think just because I've been using them forever, so I know what to expect and I know how to use them and I know how much ink comes out. But for my bullet journal, I pretty much just use the like black pen, 02. Sometimes I'll use a 05 if I want to get like a thicker line, or I'll just use like a, what's it called? What are regular pens called? Fountain pen. I'll use a fountain pen. Yes, this is a fountain pen. It's a normal pen that normal people use and know the name of, as opposed to me, who only knows obscure weirdo pen names. But yeah, Micron is very reliable. I think they're my favorite illustration pen. Yeah, maybe I'm just like a little sentimental about them because I used them in art school and high school and college, and so it's like my old friend. My buddy. This is a very special fashion style. Flannel and crown. Anyways, so I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about why I feel like it's easier to draw in my bullet journal as opposed to even my sketchbook. So first of all, the bullet journal is very temporary. It's used for your day-to-day, at least the way I use it as like a planner. So I have my weekly spread, my monthly spread. I just use it to write my tasks in, and it's very useful. And basically, once you're done writing your tasks in that week and like living that week, you move on to the next week. And so there's kind of like a freedom in the temperance of it, or the temporary quality of it, because I just feel like it's very low pressure. So if you are a beginning artist and you want to have kind of like a reason to draw and inspiration, I find that drawing in your planner or your bullet journal is really helpful, because every day kind of has its own vibe based on like where it is between different holidays. There's like what's happening in the weather, what's happening in the season, what you have going on in your personal life. So all those things can be inspiration for what you're going to draw on that day. And so you're not like staring at a blank page for a really long time, because you're like, oh, it could even be something as simple as like, oh, I always go grocery shopping on Tuesdays, therefore I'm going to draw I actually did this. I think it was on a Tuesday that I did it. Yeah. So you could be like, I'm going to draw a little shopping bag and some vegetables on my Tuesday. And then you can be like, oh, here's another example. So I have a healers group that happens once a month on a Thursday. And so I took that as inspiration. And I can tell you more about that healers group another time. And then like Halloween, for example, that was really easy to think of what to draw. Pumpkins and kind of dark witchy vibes. So you can really take a lot of inspiration from a lot of different areas. And I find that to be really fun and easy, because you're not trying to think of what to draw. The other reason I like drawing in my bullet journal as opposed to my sketchbook is that my sketchbook is more like an ink book. I don't use pencil. So if you're an artist or illustrator, or you like to draw, you probably know that a lot of times you start with a pencil sketch. That way, if you make any mistakes, you can erase parts of it and redraw it, perfect it before you ink it. I did this a lot when I was going to art school in high school, and a little bit in college, and then I kind of challenged myself, or was challenged by my classes, to get rid of the sketching part and just go straight to ink and just like practice the confidence in your line. So when you sketch something, or if you're drawing digitally, if you make a mistake, no big deal, you can erase it and go back over it. And the problem with that is that it doesn't teach you to be confident in your line, because as you're drawing, you know that you can erase it at any point and start over, or you can fix anything at any point. And so the way that you make decisions is like, I don't want to say frivolous, it's less committed. You're less committed to what you're drawing. When you draw something purely in ink, you have to be like 100% committed. You have to practice confidence in your line. You have to practice doing really smooth lines. And you also are practicing non-perfection. You are working on breaking down that perfectionist part of yourself, because there are going to be accidents. You're human, you're not a robot. I think as the world moves more and more into this digital age where AI is making art, all art is being made on tablets, everything's perfect, it looks like it could have been, designed by a robot essentially. It's like there's no flaws. As a society, we're going to start missing flaws, because we're becoming more and more detached from our humanness. And flaws, especially in art, shows humanness. Whenever I look at an illustration or even like a master's work and I find a flaw, I'm like, ooh, it becomes my favorite part, because I'm like, oh, that's like the human part. And then you can see sometimes how they tried to change it and like turn it into something else. And so mistakes can also be the beginning of like an inspiration for something that you would not have thought of otherwise. So I love mistakes. I mean, I don't love mistakes. I don't want to say that. I don't want to curse my drawing by saying that. I don't like making mistakes. I accept making mistakes. And in my sketchbook and in my bullet journal, I've been practicing just going straight like ink to paper. So I have this witchy illustration. Should look at this. This is one that I'm working on right now. It's not finished. I want to finish it before Halloween, but I've been so obsessed with my bullet journal that I haven't. It's just witchy stuff. I have this cute little cupcakes one, blobs of frosting, and these things that look like square-headed sperm is actually caramel that's been like pulled apart. Or these little things I made for my Patreon. And then I just have like tests that I did for my children's book that I'm working on currently. This is for a new children's book that I'm starting. I'll have to pull out my other sketchbook because I have more. Oh, here's some cute little copies I drew. For some reason, I feel more pressure drawing in my sketchbook because it's more of an ink book, but also because I like to draw a bunch of tiny things and like fit them all together into one big page, and then that becomes like the finished piece. I mean, it's not even, once it's done, it just exists. It's still a practice book. Like I use my sketchbook to draw things I like for fun. That's what I use that for. But I also use it to warm up before I work on my children's book illustrations. So with my children's book illustrations, I do actually sketch things. A lot of the time I'll sketch like at least the main, like the character and kind of the proportions of objects and the perspective lines, kind of like the basic stuff I need. And sometimes I'll even sketch down to the details and then I ink it. And that's because it's a more permanent piece. It's, I'm working on this book that then will be published someday. I'm manifesting as I say this. It will be published. It's already being published. Sparkle, 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 manifestation bubble up to the heavens, and pow, it's published. Yeah, it's a bigger risk if I make a mistake because the pieces are quite large and I really don't want to have to start over. So for something like that, I will sketch. However, even if I've sketched everything with pencil, as I'm inking the lines, your own nervous system, how much caffeine you've had, how much sleep you've had, how much focus you have in the morning, in the moment. I tend to draw in the morning, so that's why I said morning. All these things are factors into how clean your lines are going to be and how consistent your drawing ability will be. And one way to develop a more consistent drawing ability with ink, skip the sketching. By doing that, you just develop more confidence in your line. You actually are refining your hand-eye coordination. There's a lot of kind of muscle work that's happening that you're, maybe not even aware of or thinking about. I'm really happy with how this turned out. Especially like this one, Monday, the cauldron and the moon. So that's it for today. We are going to do another drawing session next week where we're going to do the next week of November. And I'm still kind of figuring out theme-wise what I want. We'll be transitioning from definitely moving out of the witchy vibes and more into just like straight up fall vibes. So I also want to experiment more with using the brush pens. I really liked doing the kind of background fill in a few of the illustrations of this week. So I think next week I want to do more of that and maybe have them look kind of like completed little, almost like watercolor paintings on each page. So that's what I'm thinking.